The night was quiet. The world below slept under a blanket of stars, but far above Earth, something was moving. It was silent, hidden, and patient. No one on the ground could see it, but the sky was no longer empty. For years, strange signals had been detected by deep space telescopes. Most scientists dismissed them as natural noise, echoes of the universe. But a small group of researchers knew better. They had seen patterns inside the signals, like a code, like someone whispering from the dark. One of those researchers, Dr. Reynolds, stayed late in his laboratory night after night. He replayed the signals again and again. "This is not random," he whispered to himself. "This is someone, or something." But when he presented his findings, people laughed. "Aliens. That is only science fiction," they told him. Governments had bigger problems to solve on Earth. Nobody wanted to believe. Yet something strange began to happen. Satellites started going offline, one after another. First, it was one near Mars. Then another orbiting Earth. Then a whole cluster went silent, as if swallowed by shadows. At first, the world thought it was only a technical failure. But the truth was darker. Behind the moon, where human eyes could not easily see, giant shapes were moving. They were not made of stone or ice. They were machines, enormous ships with sharp edges, glowing lights, and armor darker than space itself. They waited, watching Earth like hunters waiting for prey. From the International Space Station, astronauts noticed something unusual. A shadow passed too slowly, not like a comet or asteroid. It blocked the stars in the distance, then disappeared. One astronaut whispered into the radio, his voice shaking. That wasn't a rock. Something's out here with us." The transmission was cut before he could finish. Down on Earth, the signals grew stronger. They were no longer soft whispers. They became heavy pulses, like the heartbeat of a predator. Dr. Reynolds recorded the latest signal and slowed it down. His hands trembled as he listened. It sounded like words. Not human words, but a message. A warning. Or perhaps, a promise. But before he could share it with the world, power in his lab went out. His screens turned black. His computers fried. It was as if someone didn't want humanity to know the truth. Meanwhile, in the skies, airplanes began to lose communication. Pilots reported sudden blackouts, compasses spinning wildly, and navigation systems failing. Many aircraft returned safely, but not all. Some vanished, never reaching their destination. In the cities, ordinary people felt unease. They looked at the night sky and thought it seemed different. Too quiet. Too heavy. Some even swore they saw strange lights dancing above the clouds, only to vanish the moment they tried to show someone. Then came the silence. All across the globe, radios picked up strange static. Television channels froze. Mobile phones dropped connection without reason. At first, it was random. But then it spread, faster and faster. One by one, the voices of the world went silent. Leaders gathered in secret rooms. Military commanders exchanged nervous glances. They wanted to believe it was only a massive technical problem. But deep down, they knew. This was not random. In a darkened war room beneath Washington, a general spoke in a low voice. "We are being watched." At that same moment, far away in Tokyo, a young boy looked at the moon through his telescope. His eyes widened. The moon, so familiar, looked wrong. A black shape was crawling across its surface, covering the light, like a spider moving across glass. He shouted for his parents, but when they came, the shadow was gone. The boy would never forget what he saw. By the third night, panic began to rise. The stock markets collapsed. People filled the streets, demanding answers. Rumors spread faster than truth: aliens, weapons, apocalypse. The world felt on the edge of something unstoppable. Dr. Reynolds finally managed to send his research to a trusted friend. His last message read, "They are here. They are waiting. And they are closer than we think." But before the message could reach the outside world, his phone went dead. His lights flickered out. And from his window, he swore he saw something in the sky. Not an airplane. Not a drone. Something larger. The silence grew heavier. Humanity did not yet know, but the first move had already been made. The hunters had arrived. They were no longer hiding. They were preparing. And soon, the ambush would begin. The world woke up to chaos. It began at dawn, when the first city went dark. Power grids collapsed without warning. Streetlights flickered, televisions turned black, and phones froze mid-call. At first, people thought it was a normal blackout. But then came the screams. Airplanes fell from the sky. Their engines died in midair, their controls refused to answer. Some crashed into empty fields, others into crowded streets. The sound of explosions shook the ground, and fire painted the horizon red. In the oceans, warships lost control of their systems. Their radars turned blind, their weapons locked shut, and some vessels simply sank as if dragged into the deep. Submarines reported strange vibrations before their signals vanished forever. No one knew what was happening. Governments rushed to respond, but their communications were cut. Leaders spoke into dead microphones, generals shouted into radios that no longer worked. Humanity was being blinded, silenced, and isolated, all at once. And then the sky changed. The clouds above New York parted, not because of wind, but because something massive pushed through them. A giant shadow spread across the city. People looked up and froze. It was not a plane, not a blimp, not anything human. It was a ship. Black, metallic, with edges sharp as knives. Lights glowed along its surface, pulsing like a heartbeat. It hung in the sky like a predator studying its prey. Moments later, more appeared. Over Tokyo. Over London. Over Moscow. Over cities across the globe. They did not announce themselves. They did not ask for peace. They simply hovered, waiting. The first strike came without warning. A beam of pure light shot from the sky, tearing through buildings like paper. In one instant, a crowded city block was reduced to ash. Concrete melted, cars vaporized, and screams were silenced in fire. The world erupted in panic. People ran in every direction, searching for safety where none existed. Mothers clutched their children, fathers shouted for their families, soldiers raised weapons that looked like toys against giants. In Washington, the military tried to respond. Fighter jets scrambled from their bases, missiles launched toward the alien ships. For a brief moment, hope flickered. Humans fought back. But the hope was crushed. The alien ships moved too fast. Their shields absorbed missiles like raindrops. Fighter jets were cut down by invisible energy beams. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. Pilots shouted their last words before static swallowed their voices. On the ground, tanks fired shell after shell. Nothing worked. The alien armor did not even scratch. The weapons of Earth were useless. Humanity realized the truth. This was not an invasion. This was extermination. In Paris, people gathered in churches, whispering prayers. In Beijing, sirens howled as families rushed underground. In Rio, the streets turned into rivers of people, desperate to escape. But there was no place to run. No corner of Earth was safe. And yet, even in the chaos, something strange happened. Humanity did not break completely. Soldiers kept fighting, even when they knew their weapons were weak. Firefighters ran into burning ruins to save survivors. Doctors worked by candlelight, refusing to abandon the injured. Ordinary people formed lines, helping strangers they had never met before. The aliens saw a species running in fear, but they also saw a species refusing to kneel. Deep inside a hidden bunker, General Harris stared at the screen in front of him. It showed maps of the world, red zones spreading across the continents. His hands trembled, but his voice was steady. "They think we are finished," he said. "But humanity has not even begun to fight." At the same moment, Dr. Reynolds, the scientist who first discovered the alien signals, finally understood the message he had decoded. His heart pounded as he whispered the translation. "It wasn't a warning," he said. "It was a declaration. They said, 'The hunt begins.'" The first strike was brutal, merciless, and devastating. But it was only the beginning. Above Earth, the alien ships grew brighter, charging their weapons for another wave. The ground shook as entire cities prepared for the worst. And yet, hidden in the shadows of Earth, humanity was preparing something too. Something the aliens did not expect. The sky was no longer silent. It had become a battlefield. The ambush had begun. But so had humanity's fight for survival. The world was burning. Cities that had once glowed with lights were now filled with smoke and fire. Streets were broken, towers had fallen, and millions of people searched for shelter where there was none. Humanity was on the edge of collapse. And yet, even in the darkest hour, something inside humanity refused to die. Across the globe, soldiers regrouped. They were bruised, cut, and exhausted, but their eyes burned with a quiet fire. They had seen their weapons fail. They had watched their brothers and sisters fall. But still, they lifted their rifles, loaded their tanks, and prepared to fight again. Because surrender was never an option. In the United States, deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, a hidden bunker came alive. Generals gathered around glowing screens, showing maps covered in red. Entire regions were lost. But in those dark maps, a few blue marks still blinked. They were pockets of resistance, small groups of humans still fighting. General Harris, tall and stern, placed both hands on the table. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed the weight of the world. "The aliens think we are broken," he said. "They think humanity will kneel. They are wrong. We are not finished. Not yet." Around him, officers nodded. They were tired, but they still believed. Somewhere deep inside, they knew that humans had one strength the aliens did not understand: unpredictability. At the same time, Dr. Reynolds worked in another hidden facility. His research had finally revealed the truth: the aliens were not only hunters, they were exterminators. They had done this before, to other species across the stars. They struck hard and fast, leaving nothing alive. But Reynolds also discovered something else. The aliens were powerful, yes. Their technology was far beyond Earth's. But they had weaknesses: tiny cracks in their armor, patterns in their signals, delays in their weapons. Small things, but humans were masters at turning small things into big victories. He leaned over his desk, whispering to himself, "We cannot beat them with power, but we can beat them with creativity." Meanwhile, resistance groups began to rise in cities across the world. In London, civilians built barricades, using abandoned buses and broken concrete. In India, villagers armed themselves with whatever they could find: axes, old rifles, even farming tools. In Africa, fighters moved through the deserts like shadows, striking quickly and vanishing before the aliens could react. Guerrilla warfare was born. The aliens were confused. They expected humans to fight in lines, to march like soldiers, to break when their leaders fell. But humanity fought like no enemy they had ever faced. Humans struck from the shadows. They set traps. They sacrificed themselves to save strangers. They fought in ways no computer could predict. And then came humanity's secret. In the deserts of Nevada, deep beneath the sand, an old project came alive. It was called Project Aegis. For years, governments had poured resources into it, unsure if it would ever be needed. Now, it was Earth's last chance. Inside huge underground hangars, machines roared to life. They were not alien-level technology, but they were clever. Swarms of AI-controlled drones lifted into the air. Railguns, experimental cannons that fired with the power of lightning, hummed as they charged. Satellites hidden in orbit came online, armed with weapons that had never been tested in real combat. General Harris stood before his men and women. His voice echoed across the base. "Today, humanity stands together. We may not have their power. We may not have their weapons. But we have something greater. We have our spirit. We fight for our families. We fight for our homes. We fight for Earth itself. And we will never give it up." The soldiers roared in answer. At the same time, ordinary people joined the struggle. Hackers broke into alien signals, trying to disrupt their communication. Engineers built crude but deadly weapons from scraps. Doctors and nurses turned basements into hospitals. Children carried food and water to survivors. Every human, young or old, became part of the fight. For the first time since the attack began, the aliens hesitated. Their scans showed something strange: human resistance was not shrinking. It was growing. Their extermination plan, perfect in the past, was failing here. In orbit, an alien commander gave his report. His voice, cold and metallic, echoed in their mothership. The humans are not collapsing. They are adapting. They are dangerous. His words were met with silence. For the first time, the hunters felt something they had never felt before. Doubt. Back on Earth, Dr. Reynolds sent a message to General Harris. His voice shook, but not from fear, from excitement. "I have found a weakness in their command ships," he said. "If we strike the right place, we can hurt them. Maybe even more." General Harris clenched his fist. The time of running was ending. The time of fighting back had begun. The world was still broken. Cities still burned. But across the globe, a spark was rising. Humanity was uniting. Humanity was preparing. The aliens had launched their ambush. But now, humanity was ready to launch something of their own. Their last stand. And this time, the hunters would learn what it truly meant to face Earth. The world had seen destruction. The aliens had crushed cities, broken armies, and silenced nations. But something inside humanity had changed. Fear was still there, yes, but it was no longer the only thing. Now there was anger. Now there was unity. And with unity came the counterattack. Deep in the Nevada desert, Project Aegis came alive. Massive underground doors opened, and swarms of drones shot into the sky like a storm of steel birds. Each drone was small compared to the alien ships, but they carried weapons designed by the brightest minds on Earth. Railguns that fired faster than sound. Missiles that could split into dozens of smaller warheads mid-flight. The first swarm moved toward the alien ship hovering above Los Angeles. Civilians hiding in ruins looked up as the night sky filled with streaks of light. For the first time since the invasion began, the fire was not falling down from the aliens. This time, it was rising up from Earth. The drones struck fast. Alien shields flared as they absorbed the hits, but the constant rain of fire confused their systems. Their sensors, so perfect against other civilizations, struggled against human chaos. On the ground, resistance fighters launched their own attack. Small groups of soldiers and civilians stormed alien patrols, ambushing them in alleys, deserts, and forests. They used traps, mines, explosives hidden in cars, even collapsing buildings. Every alien patrol that landed to hunt humans became the hunted instead. The aliens had never seen an enemy like this. They were used to order, to predictable battles. But humans fought like wildfire, uncontrolled, everywhere at once, impossible to contain. In Tokyo, soldiers guided railgun trucks through empty streets. The giant weapons fired, sending spears of light crashing into the alien ship above. In Moscow, engineers hacked into alien drones, forcing them to turn against their own masters. In Africa, guerrilla fighters used the desert itself as a weapon, leading alien machines into storms of sand that blinded their senses. And in space, humanity's secret weapons woke up. Hidden satellites, long thought to be only for communication, revealed their true purpose. Beams of concentrated energy fired from orbit, striking alien vessels with unexpected force. One alien ship shuddered, its armor glowing red before finally cracking. It was the first alien ship to fall. The world watched in silence as the massive machine, once untouchable, lost control and crashed into the ocean with a roar. For a brief moment, humanity stood taller. For a brief moment, they believed. But the battle was far from over. The aliens responded with fury. More ships descended from the dark sky, unleashing waves of fire. Buildings collapsed, forests burned, oceans boiled. Entire regions were scorched in retaliation. Yet humans did not break. Every time an alien ship destroyed one city, 3 more resistance groups appeared elsewhere. Every time an alien patrol wiped out a base, survivors rose to fight again. Dr. Reynolds worked day and night, searching for more weaknesses. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but his voice was strong when he spoke. Their command ships are connected, he explained. If we disrupt their network, we can blind them. We don't need to destroy them all. We only need to strike where it hurts most. General Harris listened carefully. He knew what this meant. Humanity could not win with numbers. But they could win with intelligence. And so, the plan began. Resistance groups across the globe launched small attacks, loud, messy, and unpredictable. These were distractions, forcing alien forces to scatter. Meanwhile, A secret strike team moved toward the alien command ship above the Atlantic Ocean. Hidden beneath the waves, submarines carried nuclear warheads modified with alien technology stolen from fallen drones. It was a desperate plan. It was dangerous. But it was the only chance humanity had. As the submarines approached, alien sensors detected something. The command ship prepared to fire, but at that exact moment, resistance fighters in Brazil launched a massive assault, drawing the alien fleet's attention. Explosions lit the sky, and chaos filled the air. The submarines fired. 3 missiles streaked upward, cutting through the water and into the sky. The alien ship's shields flared, struggling to block the impact. 2 missiles were stopped. But the third pierced through. The explosion was like thunder across the ocean. The alien command ship shuddered, flames bursting from its side. For the first time, the hunters screamed. The humans had struck back. Around the world, cheers erupted in bunkers, shelters, and ruins. People cried, laughed, and hugged strangers. For the first time, they felt hope, not the fragile hope of survival, but the burning hope of victory. But victory was still far away. The alien ship above the Atlantic did not fall completely. It limped, damaged but not destroyed. And its allies swarmed to protect it, preparing for revenge. Still, the message was clear. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was not weak. Humanity could fight. And now, the war had truly begun. The counterattack was here. And the aliens had no idea what was coming next. The ocean still boiled where the alien command ship had been struck. Smoke rose from its damaged hull, and its once perfect shields flickered weakly, like a dying flame. Humanity had done the impossible, they had hurt the hunters. But the price was heavy. Brazil's resistance fighters who created the distraction were gone. The submarines that launched the strike never returned. Across the world, cities continued to burn, and millions remained trapped in ruins. Humanity had not won. Not yet. But something had changed. For the first time, the aliens were afraid. Inside their mothership, voices echoed in a language no human could understand. Their commanders spoke of failure, of resistance unlike anything they had ever faced. Across countless worlds, their hunts had ended quickly, cleanly. But Earth was different. One alien commander stared at the glowing map of the planet. His sharp eyes studied the blue marks of human resistance spreading across continents. His voice, usually calm and certain, now carried a rare edge of unease. They adapt too quickly. They fight without order. They fight without fear of death. They are unpredictable. The Council of Hunters fell silent. For the first time in their long history, doubt entered their minds. On Earth, that doubt became humanity's weapon. Dr. Reynolds and his team worked without rest, studying every signal, every battle. He had noticed something strange. Each time humans fought, their tactics changed. No 2 battles were the same. Soldiers who lost their weapons grabbed alien rifles and learned how to use them. Hackers turned crashed alien drones into new machines. Engineers built railguns stronger than before. Reynolds whispered to his assistant. They aren't just surviving, they're evolving. General Harris saw the same pattern. Reports flooded in from resistance cells around the world. A group in Egypt had managed to blind an alien patrol using mirrors and desert heat. A team in India had hijacked an alien walker, using it to destroy its own kind. In Europe, scientists cracked part of the alien language, sending false commands into their networks. Every day, humans were becoming more dangerous. And the aliens knew it. Above the Atlantic, the damaged command ship attempted to retreat. But humanity was not about to let it escape. Naval fleets gathered, launching wave after wave of attacks. Drones swarmed like hornets, harassing the massive vessel. Railguns fired from the coastlines, striking its weak points. The battle raged for hours. The ocean thundered with fire and steel. Finally, with a sound that shook the heavens, the alien command ship split apart. Its wreckage fell into the sea, sending waves taller than mountains crashing toward distant shores. The world watched in awe. Humanity had not just hurt the hunters. Humanity had destroyed one of their strongest. Cheers erupted in every bunker, every hidden shelter, every ruined street where survivors huddled together. Children shouted with joy, soldiers embraced, and even the hopeless felt their spirits rise. But victory came with a shadow. The fall of the command ship did not end the war. It made it worse. From deep space, more alien fleets began to move. The hunters had underestimated Earth. Now, they would return in greater numbers, with greater fury. Dr. Reynolds stared at the stars on his monitor. Dozens of new signals pulsed across the darkness. His voice was heavy as he said, "They are calling for reinforcements. The real war is only beginning." Still, there was no going back. Humanity had crossed the line. They had shown they could fight. They had shown they could win. In Washington, General Harris addressed his soldiers. His voice carried through hidden radios to resistance fighters around the world. "Today, we proved that humanity is not prey. We proved that even giants can fall. But this is only the start. The hunters are coming in greater force. And when they do, we will meet them, not with fear, but with fire. This is our planet. And we will never give it up." His words echoed across the ruins, giving strength to millions. Far above Earth, alien eyes narrowed. For the first time, the hunters questioned their mission. They had always believed humans were fragile, weak, unworthy of survival. But now, they began to see something else. Humans were not fragile. They were dangerous. Because unlike other prey, humans learned. They changed. They grew stronger with every battle. The aliens had unleashed humanity's greatest weapon. Not their machines. Not their armies. Their will to survive. And as the flames of war spread across the stars, one truth became clear. The hunters were no longer in control. The prey had turned. And the turning point had arrived. The night sky was no longer filled with stars. From the darkness of space, a new fleet arrived, larger, heavier, deadlier than the first. The alien reinforcements had come, answering the desperate call of their broken command ship. Their vessels burned like black suns, covering the heavens above Earth. Humanity watched in silence. Cities lay in ruins, oceans boiled from fire, and the world was scarred. But inside that scar, something had grown. Not fear. Not despair. Something stronger. Hope. General Harris stood in the command center of Project Aegis. His uniform was torn, his face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes still burned. Around him, soldiers and engineers prepared for the greatest battle in human history. Dr. Reynolds adjusted his glasses, pointing at the hologram of Earth surrounded by red alien markers. His voice was steady. "This is it. Their full strength. If we fall today, humanity ends. But if we win," he paused, his hand trembling as he tightened his fist. "If we win, the galaxy will never forget us." The world listened as Harris's voice carried across hidden radios and battered transmitters. "People of Earth. Today is not just survival. Today we roar. Today we fight not as nations, but as one species. Humanity stands together. Humanity fights together. And humanity will rise together." Across the globe, resistance groups prepared. In the deserts, guerrilla fighters loaded explosives into stolen alien walkers. In frozen Siberia, soldiers coated their tanks in camouflage, ready to strike. In ruined cities, survivors armed themselves with rifles, Molotovs, even sharpened steel pipes. Children carried supplies. Mothers carried hope. Everyone carried courage. The alien fleet descended. Their weapons lit the skies, sending beams of fire toward Earth. But this time, Earth did not crumble. The counterattack began. Satellites in orbit turned into cannons, firing beams of light into the alien ships. AI-controlled drones swarmed upward, like angry hornets, diving and striking with relentless speed. On the ground, rail guns roared, their shots cracking alien armor. Missiles streaked across the horizon, splitting into smaller warheads that struck from every angle. The aliens responded with fury. Whole cities were turned to ash. Resistance cells were wiped out in seconds. But no matter how much fire they unleashed, more humans rose to fight. In New York, soldiers fired from the ruins of skyscrapers, hitting alien drones with sniper rifles. In Cairo, fighters used ancient tunnels beneath the city to ambush patrols. In Brazil, survivors of the first battles carried banners painted with one word, "Fight." The hunters had come to erase humanity. Instead, they had awakened it. Dr. Reynolds shouted as new data flashed across his screens. Their command ship has a weakness. We can overload its core if we strike together. All our weapons, all our satellites, everything at once. General Harris gave the order. His voice thundered through the comms. Every nation, every fighter, every survivor, focus fire on the command ship. This is our moment. The battle turned into a storm. Railguns, missiles, drones, and hacked alien weapons all targeted the massive vessel above Earth. Its shields flared, trying to hold, but the human assault did not stop. It was chaos, messy, unorganized, reckless. Exactly what the aliens could not understand. Inside the command ship, alien officers panicked. Their perfect strategies collapsed under human unpredictability. Their calculations failed against human madness. For the first time, the hunters felt true fear. Then came the final strike. A team of submarines, hidden deep in the ocean, launched their last nuclear warheads, modified with stolen alien cores. The warheads streaked into the sky, hitting the command ship's weakened hull. The explosion was blinding. The command ship shuddered, cracked, and finally tore apart in a roar that shook the Earth itself. Pieces of burning metal rained down into the oceans. The alien fleet scattered, their coordination broken. Without their leader, their perfect network collapsed into chaos. And humanity pressed the advantage. All across the world, resistance groups cheered as alien ships fell. Fighters who had nothing left still charged, striking at the enemy with everything they had. Humanity did not just survive the battle. Humanity won. As the last alien ships fled into the dark, Earth stood silent. The sky was filled with wreckage, smoke, and fire. The planet was wounded, scarred, forever changed. But it was alive. Dr. Reynolds leaned against his desk, exhausted but smiling. "We did it," he whispered. "We made them run." General Harris looked up at the broken sky, his voice heavy but proud. "They thought we were prey. They thought we would kneel. But they were wrong. Humanity has teeth. Humanity has fire. And humanity will never be hunted again." Across the world, survivors lifted their voices. It was not a cry of fear. It was not a whisper of despair. It was a roar that reached the stars. And somewhere, far away, in the cold silence of space, the hunters heard that roar. They would remember it. They would fear it. Because the war for Earth was over. But the story of humanity had only just begun.